And it is day 10 of that war. The skies over West Asia turning more dangerous. American and Israeli jets have been hammering Iranian targets with relentless strikes. But now Iranian forces are firing back with heavier, deadlier missiles. Now punching through defenses, and the battlefield is shifting fast as far as the situation is concerned. Take a look.
The bombardment has been relentless. American bombers and Israeli fighter jets have been pounding Iran for days, striking military bases, command centers and missile facilities across the country. Explosions have rocked Tehran. Smoke columns have risen over strategic sites. Warplanes have hit multiple oil depots in and around Tehran, igniting huge fires and sending thick black smoke across the skyline. These are images from Tehran showing the devastation.
In addition, last night we attacked fuel depots used by the regime's military forces and used to operate military infrastructure. In the past 24 hours, the IDF has attacked more than 140 targets of the Iranian regime using more than 900 munitions.
Washington calls it a campaign to cripple Iran's war machine. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised many surprises in the next phase of the war. But beneath the roar of airstrikes, Iran has been preparing its answer. Sirens screamed across Israel as air defense systems scrambled to respond to a new wave of Iranian ballistic missiles. These are now routine barrage. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says it fired some of its most advanced missiles, including the Kheibar missile, the Emad missile and the Qadr missile.
Our arsenal of heavy missiles, ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as various drones and attack vessels have been supplied in line with the requirements of a large-scale and prolonged war.
According to Iranian statements, several of the missiles carried cluster warheads designed to scatter multiple explosives across wide areas after impact. The smaller multiple warheads makes interception far more difficult. Analysts say the barrage appears carefully planned. Some missiles fly high and fast, others maneuver during the phase of flight. The aim is to overwhelm Israel's layered air defense network, and in some cases the missiles are getting through. Since February 28, Israel and the US claim to have struck over 6,000 targets across Iran. They say that the attacks have severely depleted Iranian missile and drone facilities. But with every new strike, Iran shows that it still has the firepower to inflict damage. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Going straight across now to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, who's with us on the broadcast for more on that. Thanks very much for being here. I have to begin by asking you for your assessment of what has been reported. According to an Axios report, the US and Israel discussing sending special forces into Iran to secure its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Do you see that happening, and how feasible is that according to you?
I think it's highly infeasible. I don't know what they're talking about. Where the nuclear facilities are is obviously one of the most important targets inside of Iran. And they have over 500,000 total military and police forces to provide security within the country. And they could call up hundreds of thousands more, like in the besieged forces, their militia, et cetera. So you send in a few special forces. I don't know what anybody thinks that they're going to accomplish there. You can't go against an army, especially on something that's going to be highly surrounded and defended. So I guess they can try. I think it has a very, very low chance of success and a high chance of getting a lot of people killed for no value. I just don't see that as happening.
Right. What do you make of the strategy being adopted by the US and Israel as well as Iran at this point, and the way things have been progressing on the battlefield, but also what really are Trump's options according to you right now?
Yeah, there's no question that the United States and Israel together have profoundly more military assets to bring to bear, a lot more firepower, mastery of the skies, mastery of the ocean. So, in that regard, it's not a fair fight. As Secretary Hegseth said the other day, the balance of power is overwhelmingly in favor of the United States. However, wars are not won by who has the most on a spreadsheet, who has the most firepower in reality, even. It matters who can compel the other side to submit to their objectives. And that's where Iran has more leverage than we may think. Because while we can bring a lot of firepower on Iran, Iran has some leverage to play. Number one, they have these missiles that you've shown on your screen there, where a lot of them are inflicting severe damage to Israel, to our regional allies, and to American bases around the region. We've already had apparently 8 American soldiers killed, some unknown number of wounded, many seriously. Those numbers are almost certainly going to continue to go up. The economic damage is spreading far beyond the region here. The Gulf of the Strait of Hormuz is still largely shut down. The price of oil is now well over $100. No telling where that's going to go. Depends on how long this thing lays out. Iran's strategy is to just survive, to just endure, and to keep being viable, to send missiles and drones, which they apparently can do for months. They have resourced it to be able to do this. All they have to do is be viable, whereas the United States, even with its greater firepower, has to compel compliance. President Trump set the objective of unconditional surrender. That means political defeat and physical defeat of their armed forces, and that is an astronomically difficult job militarily. So U.S. is trying to attain something that I don't think it can, and especially in the time frame that we have here, the world economies, especially in the Western Europe and in the United States, are simply not going to be able to sustain, oil over $100, $120, maybe even more of that over an extended period. But on already weak economies, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Washington to get this wrapped up.
Right. So speaking of this wrapping up, what really is the end game is the biggest question right now that's been doing the rounds. When it comes to regime change as well, now we have a new supreme leader in Iran. And as far as what the statements have looked like coming in from the United States, what do you make of what the real objective at this point really is? And if at all, how and when do you see things ending on the ground?
Well, what we've seen from the administration officially, from some of their allies in Congress, and some of their others on some of the major television shows, influencers, it's change regime. It's to bring the regime into complete submission to the United States, whether that's physical destruction or like what the United States got done in Venezuela, where they had acquiescence, and so then the new leader would do whatever the United States wanted. That's one thing. There's some have floated over the weekend that are connected with the White House control of the Iranian oil, like what happened with Venezuela. They also say that their long-range missile program to be destroyed, that their Navy destroyed, their Air Force destroyed, air defense destroyed, and of course their nuclear capacity eliminated. Those are enormously difficult tasks to accomplish in a country that's spread out. It's 4 times larger than Iraq. I just think too few people really understand how difficult it is to accomplish that, no matter how many airplanes we have and missiles and everything else. It's just so difficult to accomplish, but that's what they're saying they're going after. I just don't think it's going to succeed.